In this video, you'll learn about an AI tool that I think is awesome to use in the classroom. That AI tool is called SchoolAI. SchoolAI is just one resource that you can use. I'm going to just go ahead and dive into here. So, this is their homepage. If you sign in with your Google account, you will get a free account. That free account allows you to do certain things. For instance, like if you wanted to look at some of the tools that are in here, there's a lot of tools. This looks very similar to like Magic School or some other resources on the internet that you might have seen that kind of just help teachers with some of their daily tasks that they have. But what I think is really different about this specific tool is this area called spaces. Inside of these spaces, you can take your students in so that they can communicate with a chatbot, so they can have conversations with the chatbot about anything that you are studying. So if I just go into launch a space, this might help you kind of understand how this works. That you could create your own space, or you could find a space that they have. So if I just said, hey, I want to find a space, let's say I am a history teacher and I'm teaching about World War II. Like there's thousands of different activities inside of the spaces that are already pre-designed. So if I just went into World War II, it basically says, hey, your students are going to have a conversation about World War II, its causes, events, that type of thing. So you could preview these. So if you come across one of these that are already made, it says, hello there, did you know that during World War II, yada, 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 what do you already know about World War II? You could say like, the Germans started everything. Like you could basically, obviously it would help if the Germans started the war. So I didn't have my keys aligned really, or my fingers aligned. So, and it starts having a conversation back and forth with you about World War II, where you would communicate back and forth with this. What's nice is from your teacher's perspective, you can see in real time every conversation that every student is having with the chatbot. So I really like that part where it gives the students some choice of how to answer questions, but you as the teacher have complete control over their conversations, looking at their conversations. You can pause conversations, you could save their conversations for use later on, but it really gives you a lot of formative assessment in real time of what your students are doing. So if I wanted to create my own space, by the way, before I go, I just want to make sure, like some people are going to say, well, this is really geared more towards high school kids. If I wanted a reading, you'll see books like Brown Bear that are already made. And you could talk about the book with your students. So it does scale down to lower grade levels. I do think that it is kind of text heavy, so it might not be real awesome at like kindergarten, because the students have to talk back and forth. There is a speak button where it does allow the students to basically speak into their microphones or have the text read to them. It does work pretty well, but in a classroom full of more than 20 students, that might be problematic. So just something to take into consideration. I like launching my own spaces. So if I go in to create a space and I say I want to teach about anything, so let's just say I want to teach about plant cells. Say I'm a science teacher, I'm teaching about plant cells and animal cells. And I just want to, can you discuss between plant cells? Down here, you would go down, you could connect it to a standard if you want. So if you just said, hey, this is, I'm in fifth grade, teaching fifth grade. And again, I've been a while since I've taught in here, so it might not be a fifth grade standard anymore. But if you just went down here and said science, I'm just going to use this one that says science, technology, engineering, grade 5, I don't know. And then I'll just go strand, biological sciences. That can definitely connect to standards. It'll talk a little bit about it again if it's in there, right? And so if I just went in here and said search standards, and I'm going to start cells, right? I select that standard, and so you can make sure that is part of it. And hopefully that makes sense. So if I just go in, yep, I selected that standard, so I put that standard right in there. And down here where it says subtitle, you can add subtitles if you want. This student description is pretty awesome. You could say, this is a class of 5th graders. Some of them read at a much lower level, right? You could go up to your prompt and say, please use simple terms. Some of my students read at a 3rd grade level. Like, you're really fine-tuning this prompt, and then you could add other things like, hey, my students like the Pittsburgh Steelers or something, or they're really into this specific singer at this time, so that it can kind of customize it. When you press start preview, it would preview, like it will show you here what, ready to learn about what makes them yes. So I'm basically chatting back and forth with this prompt. It's going to start going in there. Let's start with plant cells, and then they talk, and it starts breaking down the different parts. I tell my students when they're in here, if they don't understand a word, you could say, what does flexible mean? All right, let's pretend they don't know that word, but they just used it. Like, there's different strategies you can teach to your students that the AI can definitely answer. So, and it can fine tune and make it a little bit easier for them. So, once you're done with like if you preview this, like if I said, okay, cool, I'm ready to go. I'm done previewing. I just want to launch the space now. All right, so if I say save and launch, it gives you 2 different options. Don't use this one. Add to Google Classroom. I know that looks nice and pretty, but it doesn't work at Gateway right now. So you're either going to you're just going to click on use a space code. If you want to use Google Classroom, copy and paste this link right here. So just press copy it into your Google Classroom, and it'll work that way. Or have the kids scan the QR code. So if I went in here and just copied this, let me show you what it looks like from a student's perspective. It would go in. It would ask them for their name. So if I say George McFly, and then it's going to have the space code. It says join. From there, you can see George McFly joined this space code. Hi there. Imagine ourselves. Are you ready? Yes, I am. So when I go in here, it's going to say, let's start. If I said, okay, but they also salads, yada, yada, yada. Can you think of plant salads or animal salads ever? I'm confused. Like, they're having a conversation with this bot, basically. You, as the teacher, when you're looking at this from the outside in, if I reload my page here, oops, you can see George McFly has started. If I wanted to see exactly what George has done, it'll show you his exact conversation he's had so far. Over here, it's just going to give you a summary, maybe some things like, hey, this student looks like they're confused. You might want to stop by their desk. This student's doing a really good job. So it just kind of gives you an overview of all the students. But when you have like 20 or 30 some students in your classroom, this is kind of helpful, but you can always go in and dive right into each person's prompt. Later on, after the student leaves, this is still available. You'll be able to go back into the sessions after you end it to see what each student has wrote or has written, how they have interacted with the space. So kind of cool. I think it's really neat to be able to dive into spaces. It's really a separator. That's a basic overview of how to use it. It definitely helps you use formative assessment to help drive your instruction. I like to use preview and make changes. Definitely go back and that's not exactly what I wanted to do. So you go and fine tune it. So even after you've taught the lesson, you could go back and you could edit it. Like, hey, that's not exactly what I wanted the students to learn about. So for my next class, I'm going to change this a little bit, go back and just make it more specific. That's oftentimes what we have to do with AI to begin with. So learning how to fine tune it is something that takes a little bit of practice. Right now, I have 150 licenses of the full edition of SchoolAI. So if you really want to use this, I would fill out a form that I'll attach to this email and jump on that because I only have 150 licenses to offer. Everyone has a free license, but the free license limits you to 75 students a day that could use it. So if you launched it in one class and you had 25 students and you had 30 in the next class, you could really only launch it to 2 of your classes that day if you have like 30 in each one of the classes. So if you get the other one, if you get a full license, you can launch it to as many classes as you want, or start as many sessions and as many students could join as you would like a day. So that's one of the advantages of using it. It also opens up some of the other tools on it. So the only thing I do ask is if you are going to use this and you're going to use one of these licenses, I would like you to please, over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to send out a little response form, like just to gather your feedback. Did you like it? What didn't you like about the tool? Just to get your opinion on this SchoolAI. So thank you for watching. Hopefully you'll contact me to use this. Thank you.